So in this video, we're just going to cover the basics of introducing a formula into your spreadsheet. We'll introduce a couple of formulas. Before we do that, we might talk a bit about formatting. So I've put in two more sets of data here. Again, I've just made them up. These aren't real sets of data. I'm imagining here I've done two repeats. And so you might kind of think, well, how am I going to present this at the top? What was probably helpful is to not label each column as height of liquid again and again and again. But to make it clear it's repeats. So what I'm going to do is if I right click over here where it says number 1 and press insert, it gives me a whole nother row above everything I've done so far. Now this thing that says height of liquid that I played around with the formatting of, rather than it just appearing in one cell, I'm going to merge these three cells together so that they appear as just a single cell. And I'm going to take the data that was in that box and put it into that one at the top. Okay, it's going to unmerge them, that's fine. Having unmerged them, I'll merge them again. Then I don't need to have it double spaced anymore, so that I've got this spare set of cells in between the top and my data. So this I'm going to label as 1, 2, and 3, as in their repeats 1, 2, and 3 of the same experiment. Maybe repeat 1, repeat 2, repeat 3 might look better to make it clear that they're not a set of data that's appearing here in my chart. So I can make things appear nicely by using this merged cell to have a single column heading go across a couple of columns. So I said with this video is about entering formula. So far we haven't used this box up here, which, as you can see as I hover my mouse over it, is called the formula bar. In it will appear whatever I type in any cell. So you can see all of these cells. All that appears in that box is the name of the data that's written in that particular cell. But actually, you can do more than just enter data in Excel. So I know that if I want to work out the average of these three, the average height of the liquid, let's put this average height. Again, I might look at this and go, well, there's only one average height, but I've kind of got a spare cell, sorry, centimeters. There's a spare cell. I might choose to take those two and merge them together, but then I also need to change my formatting so that vertically it's distributed, and then it will appear a bit more nicely. I can make it a little bit wider so that centimeters appears nicely. Let's get it. There we are. So the average height in centimeters. So what I want to do is work out 32 plus 25 plus 34 divided by 3. Now, one thing I could do is type that calculation in. If I start by typing an equals sign, it tells Excel I want to do a calculation. And if I do 32 plus 25 plus 34, I need to now be a bit careful with some brackets. Whoops. So as soon as I press an arrow, it thinks I want to come out of the box. Actually, I didn't. I just wanted to move through my formula. So there we are. I'll put that in. Divide by 3. And you can see it works out the average of those 3 bits of data for me. The trouble with that is I'd have to go through and retype it in every single box going down the page, which I don't really want to do. So rather than the number 32 being specific here, what I'd like to replace 32 with a reference to this cell. Now, if I click on it, it puts in the right reference for me. It's cell B3. The second cell I want to put a reference to is C3. And the third cell I want to put a reference to is D3. So now my spreadsheet is going to add up the datas in cells B3, C3, and D3. So that is 32 plus 25 plus 34 and divide by 3. Of course, it gives exactly the same answer. An advantage of this might be that if I suddenly realize this bit of data was actually 33, not 34, then my spreadsheet corrects the formula written at the end, which is handy. But even more important than that, these cell references will move if I move this formula around in a particular way. So the easiest way to do it is to come down into the bottom right hand corner and get this little black cross. This green square in the bottom right hand corner of the box indicates that you're going into this sort of formula copying mode. So if I hold my mouse left button down and drag it down the page here, it calculates all those averages going down the page after I've done that. So that's quite handy. Actually, there's better ways of doing this. Excel has lots of functions built into it. So rather than just doing it like this, if I've got lots of things that I want to take an average of, adding them up like that isn't very good. So I might choose to use the sum function. And if I use the sum function, I can just put in a reference to a series of cells that are one after another. So that's saying it's going to add up the values in all the cells between B3 and D3. Even better, so then, sorry, I'd have to divide by 3 as well, wouldn't I? So I could do it like that. That gives me, you can see the same answer. And again, I could copy that formula down, but of course, what we see is the numbers don't change because it's doing the same calculation. But actually, Excel, here we've had to write divided by 3 each time. We don't really need to do that. Excel has averaging functions built into it. So if you type average, you can see underneath it's already started to give us some possible formulas that we might use. So we just want a simple average. It describes what it is next to it, which is quite nice. So it returns the average or arithmetic mean of its arguments. Arguments are going to be the things we tell it to look at, which can be numbers or names, arrays or references that contain numbers. I don't know how it takes an average of names, but we won't worry too much about that. If we did average A, apparently it does that, but evaluating text and false in arguments as 0, true evaluates as 1. So this is effectively if you're looking up things and there's going to be some you want to turn things that are false into zeros and things that are true into ones, and then take an average of those. This is average if some other condition is met, and this is average if a set of conditions are met. We just want the simple average. So then we can open the brackets, and the cells we want to take an average of are, again, I can do it with the mouse. Let's do it with typing this time. It's B3 through to D3. Close bracket, press enter, and of course the same number appears because I've worked out the average yet again in a sort of different way of those 3 cells. And again, if I go and change one number in here, you can see the average in that particular row changed because one of the cells it was referring to changed. So that's one sort of way we might use a formula in this particular video. Another thing that we might choose to do is when we set this up, I told you to do it in a particular way so that you measured the height of the liquid remaining in the bottle. So one thing we might be interested in is the amount of liquid that is no longer in the bottle. So as well as the height of the liquid, we might have something that we might refer to as the height of the air in the bottle. So this is going to be a slightly different type of formula. What I'd need to do each time is take the total height of the bottle and subtract the height of the liquid. So what we're going to do this time is use some other tools in Excel. So one simple way I could do this, let's talk about the average height of air so that we're working from the same thing. The average height of the air is, say, take the value of the height of the bottle. Now I'm going to have to make it up because I haven't got it in front of me. So let's say it was a 35 centimeter tall bottle, and take away the average height of the liquid. Press enter, and then this again gives me a formula that I can copy down the page. 35 here is a number it can reference and keep looking at as it goes down the page and work these things out. But I don't have to do it that way. If you've done this with several different bottles, what you might want is to have the heights of the different bottles recorded in another cell somewhere. So over here at the side, I'm going to say put in an additional table. I might say I had a plastic Coke bottle, I had a wine bottle, and I had a fabric conditioner bottle maybe. I had 3 bottles, and I might record their heights in centimeters over here. So the plastic Coke bottle had a height of 35, the wine bottle had a height of 26, let's say, and the fabric conditioner was a big bottle, had a height of 40. What I can do, rather than typing in this is going to be equal to 35 minus something, is I'm going to say in this cell, I want the value that's written here in cell Q2, and then I want to subtract the value here in E3. I press enter. Now that initially gives the same results, but we're going to run into a problem if we start to use that copying down function again, because as well as the reference to E3, as this cell shifting down to E4, the reference to Q2 is also going to shift down to the cell before. cell underneath. So what we need to use at this point is a way of telling the Excel spreadsheet that when the formula is copied, I don't want to stop looking at cell Q2. I want to keep looking at Q2. And the way we do that is by using a dollar sign. So I'm going to put a dollar sign here in front of the 2. Now it's going to say it's always going to look in row 2, even if the formula is copied down the page. I could put a dollar sign in front of the Q as well, but I'm never going to copy this formula left and right, so I don't really need to. But if I do that, there we are, that's done, and then I can copy it down the page, and again we've got a way of calculating the average height of air in the bottle at each point.